the 100-year-old science organisation in the UK. We have 2.2 million projects registered to BREEAM and 570,000 or just under 600,000 certificates. So across the planet, we have nearly 600,000 certified buildings. So it's a scheme that has wide adoption. BREEAM in Use is the scheme that focuses on the operational performance of buildings. So the good news about BREEAM in Use is it doesn't matter how old your building is or what type of building you have, it can be certified on one international standard, which means for global investors or asset managers or asset operators, you can certify all your buildings using the same scheme, which is really useful if you're if you have buildings in many different countries. And lots of our clients, our investor clients, have building portfolios across parts of Europe and indeed Asia and the US as well. So I've just got a few examples here just to prove the point. We've got some shopping centres, some residential accommodation as well is another thing that can be certified. So any building category can be assessed. Within BREEAM, we focused on being a robust third-party certification scheme. Everything that we do is underpinned by science. And we want to make sure that the certificate is not actually the end goal of the certification. The important part is that the buildings are improved and that you can go on, and wherever you start your journey, you can make improvements in that building going forward. So we always focus on building performance outcomes, and our BREEAM in Use platform is an online system. We are looking for a realistic, balanced and flexible approach to assessment, and we want to be able to make sure that investors or clients manage their risk, particularly when it comes to things like climate change, because there are buildings out there that are part of big pension funds, for example, that in the future will have no value because they're not resilient enough to the effects of climate change and other things that we're facing. It's also important to mention that BREEAM always goes beyond regulation. So we create value in buildings, but we always go beyond the legal minimum in a certain territory or country. BREEAM in Use is a two-part assessment. Our part one is a focus on the building itself. So what are the services and systems that you have? What is the fabric and the design like? And then secondly, how successful is the management of the building? So even if you don't have the newest building in the world, which happens to many of our clients, you can still manage the building in the right way. And it's that management performance that's also very important. So we have clients with historic buildings in Paris or London or Stockholm, for example, where perhaps the building isn't up to the latest regulations, but they certainly manage it in the best way possible because that's what the tenants are asking for. Just in terms of the content and the categories that we focus on, we have a full range of sustainability topics that are covered. Energy and carbon are very important subjects, but equally health and well-being, as you know, is becoming increasingly more important. And there are lots of other schemes out there that focus on one particular aspect of this, but BREEAM is a fully holistic sustainability scheme. And the principles that we set down in 1990 have been used in many other schemes since then. In our most recent version 6 of BREEAM in Use, we brought the resources category into play, which has been a combination of the materials and waste section to signify circularity going forward, which is important, and of course resilience to pick up on some of the the sort of resilient language and the climate change issues going forward. So I'm just trying to give you a snapshot of the scheme at the moment. Here you can see the rating that you can achieve in BREEAM in use, going from 1 star through to 6 stars. And you can see also an example of a certificate here. So you have 2 sides, one giving a summary, and then the second side on the far right hand giving you more detail of the score that you've achieved within each of those categories. Conscious that I've only got 10 minutes, so I'm just going to keep moving. In terms of the tool, all of the BREEAM in use is delivered online, and within the scheme within the platform, there are many different ways of looking at your data, and also, of course, comparing between different buildings that you own so that you can make improvements to those as well. Net zero operational energy has been part of BREEAM in use since 2009. So although everybody at the moment is focusing on net zero, it's been a part of our scheme for quite a few years now. And we also have brought in indicators that focus on social value as well. So a very rounded, up-to-date and current sustainability measure for real estate. It's also important to mention quickly that we have the full coverage of residential assets, and there isn't another sustainability assessment methodology that covers all types of residential. So whether it be apartment blocks or inside the apartments, or row houses or terrace houses, or single family homes, we can assess all of those within BREEAM in use. That's particularly important for investors. In terms of the value that the scheme delivers, there's quite a few outward value pieces to mention. You can see them here, but one of those things is green bonds that I would mention. So BREEAM in use is being used as a tool to measure compliance to green bonds already at the moment. So we can talk about some of these things a little bit later in the questions perhaps. But in terms of the organisation, increased efficiency, comparison globally, reduced operating costs, and being able to manage very large portfolios are very important factors for everybody. You can see a few examples of our current logos here. These are clients that are using the scheme right now, but equally there are many more. But this is just the recent set of examples, and you can see some public sector bodies like Stockholm City. You can see well-known global players like CBRE, and then shopping mall owners, Mercialis, Value Retail, Unibail-Rodamco, just to give you an example of some of those. Just to give you a few examples, SFL is an investor in Paris who have clients like Facebook and Google as their tenants, and they are using BREEAM in use in all of their buildings, and they use it for the reasons that you can see here. We have CBRE as one of our global clients with a very large portfolio of about 2,000 buildings. They use the scheme to manage their global portfolio, so it's very important to them. But of course, not all clients have 2,000 buildings, so it's important to mention Klépierre here, who are a French real estate investment trust that have around about 100 shopping centres in France who use the scheme as well. And I'm sure that Anna will talk a little bit more about some of the work that she's doing a little later on as well with Nhood. So just another minute or so, I just wanted to let you know that we also have an approach for volume assessments for large clients. So if you have more than 20 buildings and you want to certify those in volume and maintain them on certification into the future, you can do that using a much more cost-effective methodology for the ongoing management of the buildings, which perhaps we can come back to in the questions if there's interest. And then I just wanted to show how that would work. So you enter the scheme in the full way during year 1 to 3, and then you can move into a portfolio maintenance approach where we would then check one building in 10 every year, just to make sure that nothing's changed going forward. I think I'm up on my 10 minutes. There's my email address. And thank you for your attention. Apologise if it's been a little bit fast, but 10 minutes is what 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, James. It was clear for us how it works globally. And also I would like Anna Korягina to add more from the international point of view, how it works in different countries, how it works for international projects realized by international developer, because we are happy to have such international developer as Citras and Nhood right now here in Ukraine, because there are not so many of them, and they are in some way trendsetters for our market, and most of our developers, local developers, following for trends from international. Anna, please, your microphone, and you can turn your presentation as well.
Thank you very much, Olga. Just a second. So it's okay? Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can see, and you can, yes. This is a better time.
So thank you very much for introduction. Within our meeting, I will explain and present you one of our value, which is called triple positive impact, and which we are trying to apply now to all new projects in all Nhood countries. So just like a reminder, Nhood, it's a new mixed real estate operator that was created at the very beginning of this year. The main goal is to provide services to the companies owned by IFM, such as Decathlon, Auchan, and Leroy Merlin. But for sure, we are working also with other clients in the field of such services as property management, asset management, brokerage, and also from this year in Ukraine, we have such services as BREEAM New Construction certification and BREEAM and Use certification, as we have both license. Like a small introduction, I would like to mention maybe well-known facts such as that retail is the second highest consumer of energy in UK, and almost the same template we have all around Europe. Retail is responsible for around a fifth of all carbon emissions, and BREEAM certification, it's one of solutions and can offer value most directly through its effect on build quality as well as ongoing performance. As James already mentioned, approach of BREEAM and Use certification, with the help of which you can follow and improve the quality of your assets during the whole life cycle. Coupled with retail assessments, BREEAM has the power to support the building of a more resilient retail sector, which ultimately should be the destination. As an international company, now we pay a lot of attention to ESG, and fortunately we are also present in a working group of European Council of Shopping Centers, shopping places, sorry, that started to work recently. They have also a group which is working on ESG questions, and among this list that was elaborated during one of the working meetings, it was stated by the developers that investors, and it's clear, are paying more and more attention to the KPI and becoming more and more demanding, requiring the KPIs and how we can measure our environmental and social policy and governance. At the same time, the lack of guidelines, definitions, and clear methodology was also mentioned. So at the same time, BREEAM, as a very detailed, very detailedly elaborated methodology, partly can solve these issues and answer to the request of investors. And it was an answer of Nhood company to use BRIAM as a part of our international strategy, which is called triple positive impact, which means 3 pillars: people, planet, and profit. This is a huge, very detailed methodology that was recently elaborated and that helps to assess if the new project is compliant with the company's strategy or not. So in these 3 pillars, economic, societal, and environmental, we have a list of criteria. For sure, and economic, it's value of the asset. And here I also would like to present this small diagram that shows the results of interview of developers, investors to the questions what factor is the most attractive within certification, and 38%, as you can see, state that its value preservation increase. So it's very important that BRIAM became an evidence or a confirmation of the quality of the building, which is already something like a must-have for international retailers. Regarding social pillar, here we are talking about social diversity, creation of relationships with community living in the catchment area, and other factors. And the most important environmental pillar, here we have such points as carbon neutrality, resilience, systematic restoration of biodiversity, and the most important is BRIAM and use certification. And this year we are working, we are starting to work closely with James on an international project, which is which I hope to realize very soon. It's a portfolio approach certification. It means that we bring together similar building from different countries to create a whole portfolio which will be certified, and where we can also add already certified building. And as James showed in its presentation, it's very interesting that starting after 3 years of from the first certification, with the maintenance approach, we have only 10% of assets audited, and for sure having altogether around 300 assets all over the world, it's very attractive and very interesting. As for Ukraine, unfortunately, we are now present only with one project. Rivgosh is going through certification process for BRIAM in use with version 6 in French, 6 in English, and it's interesting because the system, the platform is very useful and very comfortable for clients and for assessor as well. But the problem is not always we are ready to show all evidence, especially from the construction period. So this is an issue that you can meet. Regarding criteria, James already mentioned them, but I wanted to show some examples. Almost each time, we have 2 parts of certification: asset performance and management performance. And just for understanding what can be assessed through BRIAM and use process, for example, in energy, which is one of the most important categories. We are assessing the energy efficiency of the building envelope. At the management performance, we are estimating operational energy performance. For the transport, the main goal is to access proximity to amenities. For example, in Nhood case, it's one of must-have to provide public transport proximity near the project. Regarding water criteria, here we're talking about water monitoring, water efficient equipment. At the stage of performance management, it's all procedures regarding water consumption, water recycling. The new category researchers, not the new one, but the category which join materials and wastes. Here we are talking about condition survey, reuse and recycling facilities, and at the management performance, it's sustainable procurement. I see that a lot of people who are present now at the meeting know very well the standard, so I think this information can be read easily later, and I prefer to give some examples which show the realization of this very triple positive impact. So the first one is in France. It's called La Mairie. This is the industrial building, brownfield land that was transformed in a mixed sustainable neighborhood. So you can see at the picture, this is a residential district with a very special and interesting architecture, and it was assessed also in 3 categories: people, planet, profit. Like an example, in the category of people, we have parks, we have shared vegetable gardens, urban farming, spaces, special spaces for the community which is living here. For the planet, for sure, the project is going through BREEAM certification. The neighborhood is connected to the Loop district heating network for responsible supply of energy. What is very interesting, and I think it's one of the first time when we are doing this, it's smart deconstruction with recycling of building materials and creation of urban vegetable garden. And also on the site we have wind turbines. So here it's really in diamond now, a diamond now in the collection of projects compliant with this value triple positive impact. And for sure in the profit, here we have installation of a food hall, but it is made with independent retailers from the region. So it's also in order to show and emphasize the cooperation and collaboration with local people. The second one is a project of railway train station, and it is situated in Vigo, Spain. It is also an existing station which is leaving the transformation in a new type of project where you can find different types of real estate, because it will be connected with a shopping center and with hotel, and also a big surface will be destinated to open air sport activities and different leisure activities. It is also going through BREEAM certification. The rating is very good. The objective of the rating is very good, and this project will have also a 30,000 square meters garden on the roof. And the third one, also answering to the requirements of people, planet, profit, value is an existing project in Brasov. It started from the small shopping center, and now it's one of the biggest projects in the portfolio because we have shopping center, retail park, 9 fully occupied office building, and hotel is under construction now. So it's in Romania, and this is a small, medium project which became really a community and a district of this city, Brasov. So this project is also interesting because it has a BREEAM Excellence certification. There are not so many, unfortunately, but this one has it. And it was also realized with, according to the strategy. So that's all for international examples. You can see also that we have several licenses for certification. And thank you for this event, Olga. I hope my presentation was also interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. We hope to see more projects like Riv Gosh in Ukraine from your company, not only shopping centers, but the centers like this, those you showed us. And of course, I'm sure that they all will be BREEAM certificates, or anyway, green will get any green certificates.
I hope to. Thank you.
And we are moving faster because we have more speakers. Vitaly. I also would like to present Vitaly Бойко, urban experts and NAI Ukraine. And now we switch from international experience to some local experience. Vitaly, please tell us what is going on with certification here in Ukraine. As should we see more projects? Maybe we don't have more information about those projects who are already under some procedure of getting certified.
To be honest, I don't have such information too. First of all, thank you for your invitation. Sorry, I was late, and thank you, Olga, for that test of English language too. Let me start from my presentation. I guess you can see my screen. First of all, let me tell you words about our companies. I'm CEO of Urban Expert company. It's architectural company who has right to certificate design project in accordance with BREEAM certification. And our second company is NAI Ukraine company, which is a consultant and brokerage company. And we are working with all developers, biggest developers who are present now on Ukrainian market. It's a pity we don't have any clients from that list of top 30 worldwide real estate developers, which you can see on the left part of my screen. Letters are very small, but it is not important because all the developers are absent on Ukrainian market. And you will see, if you will look on comparison Ukraine with other countries, you can see that only 3% of all development projects in Ukraine are developed by international players, which is very awful situation. And that's why we always saying that Ukraine in that type of business, it looks like North Korea, because the situation is significantly worse than situation in Russian Federation. The 40% of market is created by international developers who are bringing to the market not only money and technology, they are doing market more modern and putting it more in accordance with current trends. For example, in comparison with Romania, 74% international developers are participating in creation, in growing of Romania real estate, and 90% of Poland real estate is created by international developers. It's a very bad situation, and the same situation we have and on certification map. If we will look on any countries around Ukraine, they have a lot of projects which were certificated. For example, Belarus has 100 projects as minimum. But if you look on Ukraine, you will see that only 9 buildings were certificated, objects were certificated in accordance with BREEAM certification, and the situation with LEED certification, it's not significantly better. And of course, it's we can say that our market is still closed and still don't have information what certification means and why they need to their project to be certificated. Why? First, stereotypes which our Ukrainian developers has, that it is too expensive, that time of project completion is significantly longer, and that's why they can do their project without any certification. But as we know, 75% of all buildings in Europe meet the minimum pass criteria, which is mostly, we can say that they are significantly easier than Ukrainian developers think about them. And if we will compare criteria for pass rating level, they will on 95% will be the same as we have in our national building code. And that's why to create real estate project with pass rating level is not difficult, and it is not expensive, and it doesn't need significant money. But what is important is that if you are commercial real estate developer, so in that case, end of your project is only after selling of it. And potential buyers, it's international investors who are always working in accordance with ESG standards, ESG criteria, and for them to buy real estate projects which is not, which wasn't constructed not in accordance with that, it's a huge risk, and they will never take that risk. And that's why if you have constructed your building not in accordance with some type of certification, you should all give discount to international investor or to make changes before the deal. And that's why if you want to receive as more profit as possible, it's better to do your commercial real estate project in accordance with some type of ecological certification from the beginning, from the design process. The same situation in residential real estate, but with quantity of project we have worse situation. We have only one residential real estate project which has which have received the BREEAM certificate. It's the Adams, and it's a very bad situation because our residential real estate market is very powerful. We have the same volume of market as a neighbor in Romania, and for example, residential real estate market of Ukraine is bigger than Denmark, Czech Republic, and all Baltic countries altogether. But we have only one project. In all these the countries, total quantity of certificated projects is more than 1,000, but we have only one. Of course, it is a bad situation for the past, but it is significantly worse situation in the future because of after the coronavirus, huge shift in customer demands was created, and now quality and health neighborhood, quality and health apartment is one of the most demanded criteria for future living, and now we have very competitive residential market, and if you want to receive a higher price, if you want to have significant added value, you should not only propose to your buyers, to your residents' lifestyle, but you should pursue them that your apartments are safe and healthy for them, and they will pay for that. They are ready to pay for that, because if you will see, if you will look on my screen, you will see a lot of examples of very successful real estate projects, residential real estate projects, who now are getting huge premium, huge bonuses as an additional prices in comparison with standard residential buildings. It's from 20% to 200%. Prices for that projects are significantly higher, from 20 to 200, but all of them are not haven't been certificated in accordance with any ecological certification yet, and that is their competitive weakness. And any new project who can be constructed in accordance with ecological certification can win in a competition for their clients. And in any case, all our market and all organizations and participants of our market are responsible for huge changes which real estate are bringing into the world, because we should remember that construction is responsible for more than half of climate changes, and generating 50% of world waste, and consuming 40% of energy worldwide. I think that situation, it's figures about whole world, but I think the situation in Ukraine is significantly worse. And that's why we are inviting everybody to participate in spreading of that information and that knowledge about certification and useful of certification and importance of certification to our not only market, but to our society, to our country, and to our world. Thank you, Olga.
Thank you, Vitaly. And I really hope that we are talking about this topic of certification in different types of events and for many years, but we see very slow movement to this, to see the massive appearance of certified projects here in Ukraine. And even if I understand all the reasons why it's so, I'm really happy for each project who already decided to pass its certificate, and especially in residential, like the first one, but there will be not the, it will be the first but not the last for Answer company. And I think that for some developers as well, for right now under the procedure of getting this certificate. And we are moving forward, and then I would like to give the word to Maxim Krivashev from Map Engineering to share with us the case, the recent case, the last one that we get here in Ukraine, the project that gets certificate during the last 2 weeks, I guess. Maxim, please show us about the project, some information. How did you pass it, and what was the most challenging to persuade the client to make the choice for BREEAM?
In our case, bank, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear and we can see your presentation.
In our case, bank forced client to do this. Client itself still not wanted.
Still not happy?
No, they're happy to have it, but they are not happy to be forced. So, yeah. That's the situation. Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for participation. In fact, from all participants, I know at least half, and this half are assessors in BREEAM and in other green certification schemes or people deeply involved in this market. So actually we hear maybe only one company is missing. Here we have full set of people who are professionally dealing with green certification. And yeah, I support this message from Vitaly that we should promote and interact with each other and to share experience and so on to make it happen. Yeah, and the main reason for I think not slow development, it's not only client not informed, but simply technological gap between what BREEAM in fact requires, especially in a new construction, because it's different schemes in use and new construction, and what reality people can do, simply as that, starting from the past criteria. So I'm a mechanical engineer since many years, since 2001 in design field. In recent years, I'm also acting as a sustainability consultant and BREEAM assessor. And I would like to quickly explore with you through our recent successful case of BREEAM interim certification. And it was difficult. Briefly, it was difficult and consuming our case quite a lot of time. So I will point out our mistakes, which probably will save somebody, save some time for somebody of people who listen us today in your BREEAM certification project. Anyway, at the end of the project team learned to stop worrying and to love green certification at the moment. So what this building is, in fact, big box retail unit located in Kyiv near metro station Почайна, facing by main facade on Stepana Bandera Avenue. But its function is the building is showcase or showroom for cars. And as you can see, this quite large buildings, quite large windows area with supplementary premises in sales office and reception and so on, car maintenance in the depths of the building. It is relatively small. Total area is 1,300 square meters, 2 levels, ground level and first level, or how we call it in Ukraine, second. On the roof are located technical premises. This is the offices and so on. This big white box is car maintenance. Here, how we can see was and is looking facade, main facade facing to Bandera Avenue. It's a more interesting backyard facade. So first, what we have done to obtain BREEAM credits, we need to have good natural light. So first, what we have done, it's natural light simulation for showroom, energy, and so on. So our engineer analyzes black box, black squares, it's areas which is not enough, do not have not enough natural daylight, level or daylight, so you can see in this rectangular. So when we have calculated something other than showroom, everything is black. So project team have the assumption that this glazed partition, which separates showroom from the actually offices, it will provide the borrowed light from exterior. It will be enough. Calculation shows it's not. If it is not, it means that we cannot get credits. And the same for car maintenance, because people are there for more than 30 minutes, premise with permanent presence of people, so should be natural light. And it took maybe 3 or 4 months to deep conversation and so on, and the people added windows, finally added the windows, and things get better, of course. Natural lights, as you see, can at the moment provide the required levels. So revised, we have provided it's for first level, for second level, ground first level. So backyard facade actually became looking like this. And such things is a main issue in such projects. It's because it's first projects, and we are actually bringing new requirements. Everybody need time to understand, and investor need time to actually to understand. This is he have to invest actually slightly more. He get an advantages, but it will cost more. So we have done energy modeling. On the left, you can see energy modeling according to the national code requirements, notional model. On the right, we can see what we obtained in design. Actually, you can see difference is 5 times, but it's not because some special design, but because PV panels on the roof. But not only, but that's the main reason. Second, next thing is initial master plan. Initial master plan was simply it's 1, it's building, parking area, and all the rest is concreted surfaces or so on, closed surfaces, no green areas, nothing. And no accessibility to disabled people, for children, for cyclists, for somebody who actually not driving here on a car. And additionally, we have here separation with the firewall, concrete firewall. It literally look like a concrete, massive concrete separating one side from the other. It's different owners, it's fire code requirements to have it. And again, it's simply concreted and terrible from my point of view looking massive concrete, making function for our fire specialist. It is, at this point, I want to jump back in time to the very beginning of the project. The site is located in a very urbanized area near the road with heavy traffic, 24 hours heavy traffic. The site is Red Square, and it was existing car parking, what according to BREEAM was classified as already used land. So that's how it was looking, and but we have to involve ecologists because it was a big surprise for me personally. The fact the location on the site is such completely concreted field does not mean that valuable and protected species, such for example bats, which are included in the Red Book and are protected by the law, do not exist on the site. So it should be investigated by the proper professional. The ecologist must evaluate and make the field investigation of the site to understand if there are any existing valuable species on it, and what can be done to help them to exist during construction process and after construction is complete. Also, we have found falcon. And not far from here actually falcon was observed here, and even so it shows it's even such places with all this noise, heavy traffic, and light emission and exhaust gas emissions, it still exists some room for species and forms of wildlife, and we should be careful of them during planning, construction, and after the construction is complete. And in our case, we were lucky because the only valuable ecological feature of the site was existing tree. And we made ecologists made recommendation how to protect it and so on. At the moment, it's safe. In master plan, again, months of thinking, combination, variations, iterations, and finally, we have added parking spaces with electrical charging station. We have added BREEAM compliant cycle storage spaces under canopy. We have added a connection to the local cyclist facility, which was constructed during our design process. We have added green zones, and we actually added operational waste solutions. Interesting that client already has a policy for operational waste sorting, and you can see the image from the existing building which they constructed before BREEAM certification project. But the point here, after we project team made analysis, the waste generated by a building, its waste streams do not correspond to the existing situation. What actually they are collecting waste, not exactly the same which building generates. They collect only let's say comfortable waste, comfortable to treat, to nice looking nice, and so on. So we, and with help of BREEAM, make this thing sorted, and it was correspondence, full correspondence of what building generate and what people actually collate and sending to the special contractors. So its waste place was added, and finally dedicated spaces was provided. So as you see, a master plan was changed, and also again it was losing time and money and so on. We have done analysis adaptation for climate change. As you see, Ukraine will become in 50 years quite hot place and quite dry, and we were trying with the help of project team to implement resilience to the climate change, to make it adaptation, what we can do in terms of adaptation. And finally, we according to BREEAM requirements, project team design for durability and resilience of element of the building, and all this results in obtaining interim certificate with the score 52.7%, which is quite good result at the moment in Ukraine. That's all.
Thank you, Maxim. But let's get back to the point we already started with you. What makes clients, what can force them, except bank, to change their attitude to certification? Because it's not actually, maybe it was my wrong opinion that you tell us how you changed the building, and it was not so difficult actually to make it greener. A couple of decisions and pretty understandable things to change, and the building, and you get the green building actually. So if it's not so difficult, why we do not have so many buildings certified?
I personally don't know. I cannot answer this question. People simply do not know. They simply do not know. They are afraid. And it costs more, it's true. So they don't know how to implement. It's a lot, you know, I have showed you most interesting things, but there are many things not such interesting, but quite demanding. So, yeah.
We need to educate at first, yes? Okay.
Educate, you know, you will be educating for ages and for free, and it results in good education. I don't know. Frankly speaking, I don't know. What can I do? Yes, it's kind of education and promoting on my personal level, but I cannot say it works such with great results. Cannot say.
Okay. And
can we ask questions, if I may?
Of course.
Ольга, микрофон выключен.
Yeah, we don't hear you. Maxim, firstly, I congratulate you with this project. Project, the first one. I do think it was not an easy task. for you and for the whole team. My question is regarding these banks' requirements. Did they state BREEAM as mandatory certification scheme, or they provided the client with the possibility to choose between others? And did they state some particular level of certification as a minimum one or not? So how much freedom did your client have?
You know, bank, I don't know all details with bank. Of course, it's confidential. What I see, bank didn't force them to any certification to green. It's like a supplementary, something, goodwill, something like that. And important, but not required. And additionally, they were not forced into particular certification. Any certification for them, if I understood correctly, was acceptable. In this particular project, client itself somehow came to BREEAM before it was before my participation. They came to BREEAM by his own way. I don't know how. So client selected this. Bank did it for them. Regarding level, minimum level was good. We were trying to achieve very good, but we failed and didn't pass audit with early involvement of ecologists and early involvement of acoustic specialists.
If I can just come in on the funding side of things a little bit. At the moment, we're seeing quite a lot of financial institutions specifying BREEAM as a requirement for funding. We're also seeing some clients who are asking for not necessarily BREEAM, but a third-party certification scheme, so it doesn't have to be BREEAM. For example, UBS in Switzerland has just required BREEAM as a banking specification for lending. And we're happy to work as much as possible with the local market to do as much education or upskilling as you want to do. I think the first project is always going to be difficult for any client, and your client might be perhaps a little bit upset that it costs them more the first time. But at the same time, if that project in that certificate unlocks the funding for the project, then it's got to be a good thing, surely. And you've been very successful, Maxim, and shown how you've made changes to the scheme going through that process. And the second time round, it should be slightly easier for everybody, all being well.
Thank you.
Tatiana, actually you are our speaker as well. So my question is what is the most challenging point in certification for local developers here in Ukraine? Why they're afraid? Because of lack of knowledge, or because of it costs some money? And what, as your opinion, what can be the driver of changes in our market? How much time should pass as we will have more projects certified?
I fully agree with Maxim here that I don't understand why local developers are so scared of certification. Maybe it's really because of lack of knowledge, because you are afraid of something if you don't know exactly what is behind you. The main question we receive from local people is how much does it cost? And the main issue with certification here in Ukraine, I would say that involvement of an assessor or consultant on the late stage of the project, when the developer has already designed and they want to do certification, it could be too late to make changes to the design. Or as Maxim mentioned as well, that they did these changes, but they lost time, and losing the time means losing the money. So I think that with more and more certified projects, people will speak with others and they understand that it's not so, maybe, okay, it's difficult. The first projects, yeah, they're difficult, but not so much expensive and not so much difficult. It's real, it could be done. Simply don't be afraid and involve consultants from the early stage. And with every project certified here in Ukraine, we'll have more and more designers who know what is BREEAM or LEED, who will not be scared of it, because for them it's an extra mile to study these requirements, to do something which is new. You should study and do something which is maybe difficult for the first time. And the general contractors as well, they will not be scared listening to new requirements for them when organizing construction site and other issues. So I do hope that with more and more projects, it will be not so, everybody will not be so scared. And my congratulations to Maxim with this new project, and your presentation was very interesting. You know, I even wrote down this, all buildings are predictions are wrong, because it's actually like this. Yeah.
It's design, yeah. Everybody who is making consultants in design knows this. Yes, we are predict as best we can. We have this team has made 3 revision of documents. So they lost 6-8 months. To make shorter, maybe main idea is simply technological gap. BREEAM certification for new construction required simple a kind of methodology. Actually, it is methodology: involvement energy modeling, involvement acoustic, involvement ecology from the early stage of design. And yes, and people simply do not use this. Do not do, and not only because it's expensive, and simply because how many energy modelers do you know in Ukraine? One of them, Irina Sukhadup, is with us at the moment. And I know maybe 3-4. That's the point.
The same as the quantity of BREEAM assessors, I guess.
Yeah. And how many people, how many developers are ready to listen to this people who are making strange energy modeling? What is this at all?
I think a point to mention here, I mean, you discussed earlier on, you know, about the need to draw more international investment into Ukraine, and you were talking quite rightly about, you know, about how the opportunity exists for that. And I think going forward, you know, with the rise of, you know, and Ganna will help with this, I spend every day talking to international investors and asset managers and asset owners, and with the rise of ESG, they are looking for projects to invest in, you know, and those certification requirements will be there. So in terms of driving investment in Ukrainian projects, it's an opportunity to draw in money, to have those skills available, because the investors are looking for that kind of opportunity. So whilst it might not be easy at the moment, I think you'll see over the next 6 months to a year and a half, that the scale of opportunity and certificates will increase quite considerably.
Thank you,
this
James.
presentation I have sent to Olga. Maybe, guys, maybe it will save you this 6 months.
Thank you, Maxim. We will share it with all our members.
I'm thinking about how I can save you 6 months rather than me. But
yeah, we should make another header of this presentation. How to save 6 months. And my next question is to Maxim, Zaika, and to Tatiana as well. What is your predictions? How many projects we will see in the nearest future that already passed the certification? Maybe you will work on some projects we don't know yet, but you as people who work with many of new projects certainly know.
Tatiana, go ahead.
I will be the first. Okay. It's difficult to make predictions because in BRIAM, projects which are registered but not certified, we can't see the list of such projects. In LEAD, it's differently, and registered projects are available online, so we can see, everybody can see them. Our company, I work in GLIDS, Ukraine. We have 2 ongoing projects under certification. Of course, it's under confidentiality, and I can't disclose details.
But at least 2, okay.
2 are in progress, and up to 4 are at different stages of discussions. 1 is hopefully a contract discussion. So, yeah, from our side, I hope the market.
There are some perspectives.
Well, yeah.
Okay, see, Maxime, which projects you are now working on, and can you also make some good presumptions for us for new projects to come?
You know, in my sorry, it's another Maxime.
Both Maxime can answer, but let's start with Maxime Zaika.
I'll try to be short. So, you know, my view is actually a little bit more optimistic. You know, I jotted down the number of realized projects in the last 5 years. So we got, I think, about 7 BREEAM in use office buildings certified in Ukraine. There is 1 certified BREEAM office building, and there's 2 buildings interim certified. One is Maxime's, the other one is the dance hall that Vitaly has mentioned. We've got 3 completed LEED certifications. There is 3 more LEED offices being certified right now. And there is more in discussions as well. And the general trend is that I do see there is quite a bit of interest that occurs at the time. However, not all, you know, it's not necessarily the case that this interest leads to actually signed contracts, because once you start explaining the LEED requirements for the construction site protection, or you start explaining the BREEAM requirements for FSC certified wood, including formwork, a lot of clients tend to disappear. And I think, so my view is optimistic, but I think it's going to be going pretty slow, and I think it's reflective of the overall economical situation in Ukraine, because we don't have a lot of foreign investors. We are, even though we like to think we're part of Europe, maybe, but we are dragging behind by many years. And I think the number of certifications, the overall interest in the subject is sort of reflective of that trend, unfortunately. And one of the issues with, for example, with BREEAM certification I see is this separation of the role consultant versus assessor. When I was listening to Maxime, and I obviously understand the nuances of the position, but I know how hard it is to be objective on the market like this, where we as a BREEAM assessors, we're not supposed to help our clients, right? We're just supposed to pre-assess a project, tell them, okay, guys, this is what you need to do, and explain the requirements. And then it's up to either they have to hire a consultant, or they need to have a good enough design team and a client's team to you know, write all these documents, which in my experience, none of the clients do. So they, you know, and I think it's one of the things about BREEAM certification which makes it so difficult in the moment in Ukraine, is because there aren't that many architects that know what to do, or project managers, or general contractors. And as assessors, we can't help them. We can only sort of guide them, direct them, and so on. With LEED, for example, this is different now, but LEED has other requirements, so I'm not trying to compare. But overall, I think the trend it's an upward trend, but I don't think we can obviously educate. And I think at this moment, the methodology of bank financing, where they require certification as part of their financing, is what's going to make the difference on the market. And I actually already see that. The number of clients I talk to, where they're coming to me because their bank has required that they need to have some sort of certificate. So it's more of a stick approach at this point, not so much a carrot, because you know the market is immature. And for example, if we talk about residential market, you know, people buy these apartments no matter where they're located, because in Ukraine, this is a long discussion, but in Ukraine there isn't that much, there isn't that many institutions where people can invest. I mean, so they buy basically residential real estate in order to preserve their money and then sell it at a later point. And do they need a BREEAM certificate? No. But I still think, nevertheless, I see that an upward trend, definitely. I see that the interest among developers is increasing because they all travel overseas. They see LEED certified buildings, they see BREEAM certified buildings, they come back to Kiev, and this is something that they want to do. But yes, unfortunately, we can't control the pace at which it's going, but nevertheless, I'm quite optimistic.
We have introduced, yes, to support Maxim comment, yes, BREEAM assessor is not allowed to implement as a standard. It's project team task, but it is not forbidden to introduce supplementary roles from which were introduced from our company, which design team cannot, everybody knows this, cannot cover at the moment by their own. Energy modeling, LCA analysis, lighting, natural light modeling, and other, you know. So that's the solution, but everybody already is using this, as far as I know.
Yeah, I mean, the important part for us, you know, in a sense, Maxime, first Maxime, Maxime Sayeka, you know, in a way, we don't apologize for the robustness. I mean, I take the point completely, but it's the robustness, the third-party nature of BREEAM that makes it different from other schemes. But in terms of, you know, having less people available in the market to work on projects, I completely understand that point. I think for us, it's all about how that conflict, that potential conflict of interest can be managed. You know, if you do have quite a small pool of people to draw from, then it's being clear on how that potential risk would be managed in a project. You know, it sounds a bit strange to say that, you know, that we don't apologise for that robustness. But in the end, that is the thing that will set BREEAM apart and increase the value of assets for asset owners and funders and investors going forward.
Sorry, was some problem technicians with my computer, but I'm already have probably one last question to all of our speakers, because until we are a lack of foreign investors, we have to manage our own. And I'm really happy that in our country, more and more engineers have BREEAM accessor certificate and can work and educate our developers as well. But my proposition as to the today's discussion, start to work educationally with architects, as we see that we lack knowledge not only on the basis of developers, but if we start to work directly with architects, probably we will can enter the project to save our 6 months or even more. Yes. So really happy that you all were with us today. Thank you, James. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Vitaly, Tatiana, and both Maxims. Thank you very much. And thanks to all our people who were watching us on Facebook, join our Zoom translation. And see you soon and our next events, and hopefully we will have more and more certified and green buildings, and our construction will be more sufficient and sustainable. Thank you all. Have a good time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Goodbye.
See you.
Bye.